Hello, my name is Doug Leisure, and today I wanted to record this short video to talk about the concept within my donation software of collecting the donations and then depositing them into different bank accounts depending on the category in which our donors chose when they made their donation. So this video is specific to the version 2025 and beyond. Okay, so let's start with the idea that a lot of churches, not all, but a lot of churches have a single checking account that they use. So they collect their donations for their various categories. In this case, how about charity, general missions? Those are the categories that we use for our donations. But when we deposit them into a single checking account. Okay, so let's jump back here to the parameters. So one of the things in the 2025 version is that we added the ability for you to identify the different bank or credit card accounts that you're tracking. And so the first thing you need to understand is that what you assign here in account 1, that is going to be the account that's used then whenever you do your deposits for your donations. So all donations will by default be assigned to this bank or this bank account. Okay, and we can see it over here in the expenses at charity general missions for April 24th. They were all assigned to account checking account. Okay, so that's the first thing to understand, and for, like I say, for a lot of churches, that's how they do everything. However, there are other churches and organizations who actually put their money into different bank accounts depending on which category was used for the donations. So let's take a look at how you would set that up. First thing is we would come to the parameters, and we would make sure we have those accounts identified here. So I'm going to add a how about a savings account for missions, and then we'll do another one, the savings account for the charity. Okay, and these could be checking accounts, not savings account, but you understand the concept. So we'll need to modify this and say we now have 6 different accounts that we're tracking. It's one of those parameters highlighted in this pinkish color. So we go to the donation software and we adjust our tabs so that everything now knows that we have 6 different categories. Okay, so as I said before, let's do a donation. How about May 4th of 2025, and as we are doing our donations, right, whatever we put into these various categories, then by default all of the monies in these categories will be deposited into a single account. But we can modify this. Now the way we do that is we come down here down to the bottom of our entry tab. We scroll over to the right, and over here in column AV, this is where we connect the dots between our categories, our donation categories, and the account that's being used when we move these deposits over to the expenses tab. So let's take a look at that. General goes to checking, missions goes to checking, charity goes to checking, the specials go to the checking account. Okay, so we can adjust these and assign them correctly. So the first thing is the entry tab is protected, so you can't accidentally make changes. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is unprotect it. So you can right click and say unprotect, If for some reason you can't right click, well then just come up here to the Excel menu review, where you can use the unprotect button. Okay, now that the entry tab is unprotected, now I can modify it. So we can come here to the missions and we can just type in our savings mission and our savings charity. In my mind, you have the possibility of mistyping if you manually type it in. So I think our better option would be to come back here and we'll just simply copy this and then paste it using paste values so that we get the exact same name. So I'm going to use the copy option here, come back to entry, and here on the missions and charity, I'm going to right click and choose the paste values, and that'll put it in exactly as the way we typed it over there. Now your other option, and then this is probably a reasonable one as well, is to use the equal sign and go over here to the parameters and click on savings mission. And so what is this is doing for us is it's a cell formula that just simply links over to whatever you entered here in this parameter. Let's do the same thing for the charity. So we'll come down here, hit the equal sign, over to the parameters, and click on savings charity. All right, so now these is just simply two cell formulas that connect over there. So if ever in the future you happen to change this name, it's automatically going to be reflected and picked up here. Okay, so having made that small change, we're going to now protect our sheet. Never ever put in a password. Leave that blank. Leave the check marks that are there alone. Just hit the OK button. So now we have modified the definition of what checking account or savings account is connected to our various donation categories. Now let's go ahead and finish off our donation here. We could do more, of course. This will be enough just to see that these things move over correctly. So let's go ahead and finish the donation just so you can see it working. Okay, so now we go to our donation software. We're done entering our donation, so entry is complete. Let the code go ahead and process through, and once it's saved, we can come back here to the expenses tab and see what happened. So down here for our May 4 donation, the general donation was assigned to the checking account. The missions donation was assigned to the savings mission, and the charity was assigned to the savings charity. So you can see that did work correctly. Okay, so that's how you would make that modification. Now let's talk about one other small item, and that would be what happens if the entry came over automatically into the expenses tab, but it was assigned to the wrong thing. Let's take a look at here. This would be a great example. Okay, in this case, the donation was made as a special offering, and the special offerings are going to be assigned to the checking account. Now let's talk about the first situation where I got the money when it was donated, and when I went to the bank, I did not put that in the checking account, but I chose instead to put it into the savings missions. Okay, in that case, we come here to the entry that was made, and all we have to do is just simply change it. So we click on the little drop down and say, no, that really was deposited into savings mission. Okay, so it literally is that easy to make an adjustment, but you do have to come back here and do it manually, because it's not going to happen automatically. Okay, one other situation. Let me put this money back in the checking account. Okay, so then the other situation is where when we did the collection, we did actually take that money, so in this case the $25, and we did deposit that into the checking account, and now we want to move it from the checking over to the missions savings account. All right, so again, in that case, the money was truly deposited into the checking account. So what we need to do now is we now need to make the entries to move, or the better word for that is to transfer out of the checking and into the savings, the mission savings. All right, so we're going to come down here and we're going to add 2 more transactions. Okay, so let's start with, let's say we're going to do this then on May 4th. So we enter the date, and when we do, then everything copies down, including the little drop down. So we're going to say out of the checking account, and we could either use it, we could either write a check, in which case you would enter a check number, or if you maybe go to the bank and you just have them move it for you automatically. So that would be really more of an electronic fund transfer mechanism. Okay, so whichever one you use, enter that accordingly. Now, the checking account, we are going to do a transfer, and we're transferring into the, I'm sorry, yeah, sorry, this is the checking account, and we're transferring into the missions. And so this is going to be a payment of $25. Okay, now we're going to do another one, same day. Okay, now this is going to be the transaction for the savings account, right? The first one was for the checking account, and that's the payment, the money coming out. The next one is then for the savings account, and this is going to be actually a deposit into the savings account. We'll choose transfer as well, and this time we will choose the savings, it's transferring from the checking account, and then the deposit would be the same $25. Okay, so the account is checking, transferring over to savings, that's a payment. Now in the savings account for missions, that's a deposit transferring from the checking account, and that's a deposit of $25. And that's how we would record that. Okay, that's all I wanted to cover in this particular video, and I will look forward to working with you in a future video.